Welcome to today's webinar, SYSPRO Administration, all about best practices, other tips and tricks. My name is Darshini, and I'm very pleased to have joining me today Claire Roll, our Support Services Manager. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Darshini. Hi, everyone.
Great to have Claire here with us today. Many of you on the call will be familiar with Claire. Claire's been with NexSys for a good 20 years and manages the support team, a team of 15. I'm sure you'll have had many interactions with her over the year and know that she is a clear, calm, cool head and the one to go to for anything support related. Without further ado, I'm going to switch over and hand over to Claire to take you through today's session. Thanks, Claire. Over to you.
Thanks, Darshini, and good afternoon, everyone. When we look to investigate calls logged with support, we'll often be reviewing the logs available, determining what version of product and programs you are running, and where available, providing documentation and knowledge base articles to assist. So with that in mind, this afternoon, I'll be covering 3 areas. First, I'll be highlighting the various logging and audit utilities that you can leverage within SYSPRO in order to track various activity within your business, indicating some handy tips and recent new features along the way. Then I'll discuss how you can go about keeping your SYSPRO solution up to date. And finally, I'll demonstrate the resources we make available in the NexSys support portal in order to assist you in supporting your business. Now, you would typically review logs in order to audit operator and transactional activity within the business, ensure data integrity and security compliance, and investigate and troubleshoot issues. So let's look at the programs that SYSPRO makes available in order to track operator activity, transactional activity, and overall activity within your business. Starting with job logging. Now, I expect most of you will already be familiar with using job logging to ascertain which users accessed which programs and when. Enabled by a setup option with additional options to log information regarding all E.NET Business Object calls and SRS reports. When you first load the screen for a particular time filter, it surfaces the following columns by default. But did you know that you can add additional information to the view by right-clicking and choosing Field Selector, and then selecting additional columns from the list provided? Depending on the particular issue you're investigating, it can be useful to know which role and group the operator was assigned to when they accessed the program, which client PC or remote desktop terminal they were using at the time, what their Windows and SQL process ID was, and what version of the program they're running. You'll note that some transactions contain a View button, which allow you to drill down to additional information in the Details pane. For example, when you generate invoices, it will show a list of all invoices created in that session and the corresponding register number. And if you post GL journals, it will show the specific journal numbers generated. In addition, you can use the custom filter to specifically select the type of information you want to access. It may be that you're tracing the activity between specific dates for a particular operator or operators, or that you want to see all instances of a particular program being run within a specified date range. You can also optionally use the filter status to select only transactions that were not completed, produced an error, or have additional information associated. Now, in addition to job logging, you can use the system audit query to track particular types of activity within the business. This can be useful for security audits and other general audit inquiries, as well as exception tracking. SYSPRO make a number of categories available to select, and here are some examples of the information you can track, including changes to custom forms, when licenses were uploaded, client server diagnostics, which are useful to tracking which particular operators are experiencing issues, specific changes to operator setups, various logging exceptions which aid tracking of license usage, and changes to system setup options. In this example, I've selected the category Access to Program, and from this I can see all operators who've tried to access a program for which they do not have permission. Job logging and system audit query therefore allow you to see activity performed by an operator. SYSPRO also allows you to track specific changes made to operator security using the operator amendment journals, in each case allowing you to track who made the changes and view before and after value of each change that was made. Similarly, you can use the setup amendment journals to track changes to company setup options, again allowing you to view the operator responsible and the before and after value of each change made. The utilities I have covered to date allow you to see which activity an operator has transacted, but in the main, these will only tell you they accessed a particular program. In many cases, you cannot see the specific transaction processed within the program. So SYSPRO use amendment journals to track specific changes made to master data. These are enabled by setup options, for example here in Accounts Payable. And these options are available across all modules in which master data might be amended. You can then surface this information by selecting the module required, reports, and the relevant amendment journal. And this allows you to see a list of all additions, changes, and where applicable, deletions made in a specified time period. SYSPRO makes it possible to track amendments for all of the following programs. As system administrators, some of you prefer to access the information directly via business activity queries, SQL, or other reporting tool using the associated SQL tables. This information can also be accessed directly from the business objects. SYSPRO has therefore made it easy to track changes to master data. But what about transactions? SYSPRO allows us to track all additions made to sales orders in order to determine our order intake. This is enabled by setup options, and once in place, SYSPRO will log all changes made during sales order maintenance into 3 separate SQL tables: saw additions, saw changes, and saw cancelled. So let's have a look directly in SYSPRO to see how that works. If I load my sales order intake query, I can select a specific or range of dates and say Start Processing. SYSPRO will then load all of the orders that were added, changed, or cancelled in that date range and give you a total intake value. You can then drill down to specific pieces of information by expanding the filters. And here we can look at the intake for a particular salesperson, product class, customer, etc., each time with the intake value dynamically recalculating. SYSPRO also make information available per sales order in Sales Order Query. So if I load a sales order and I have a look at the additional information pane, I can see who added, changed the order, and at which date and time. Now, we're regularly asked which operator produced a specific invoice, and in the past we've advised to check the operator on the invoice register or look in the drill downs in job logging as I showed earlier. In SYSPRO 8 2024, SYSPRO have now made this information available as standard, and you can add the field to the additional information pane using the field selector. So you can now see the last operator to generate invoice. So that takes care of sales order changes to transactions. On support, we'll often be asked how you could then track the same information for other modules. SYSPRO recognized that rather than producing additional programs for this, you needed the flexibility to create logging that is customized for your specific business needs, and they make this available using electronic signatures. These can be configured within electronic signature configuration setup, and these are set up per company, role, or operator. If I look at company, you can see that these are available for most transaction entry points within all modules. In this example, I'm going to look to set some detailed logging on purchase order additions and changes in the same way as we could see for sales orders. So I select purchase orders. I'm going to look for changes to lines. So I'm looking at purchase order, add purchase order merchandise line. I click edit. I set the access level to log only, select detail log required, and then click configure details. In this list, I can either select to log all variables or only specific ones. Now you'll notice that some of the variables are prefixed by a percentage sign. That gives you information specific to that transaction, but you can also choose some that are indicated by a dollar sign, and this is system-wide information, for example, your company or operator name. So for additions, I've chosen to log all pieces of information. I've then also set a log against change purchase order merchandise line. Same again, I've set the access level to log only, detail log required. And when I configure the details here, I've only chosen to log changes to price and changes to quantity, also selecting which operator made the changes. Once set up, this will track any changes made going forward. You first need to log out for the changes to take effect. You can view the details of the changes made of the logging in e-signature query. Again, using the custom filter in the same way as we looked at for job logging earlier. If I look at the changes made today, I can see a change made to add and change purchase order merchandise line. And if I click show details, I can then see all the details that I've chosen to log. So for the changes, I can see a change was made to this purchase order, that the quantity was changed from 10 to 5, and that the price was changed from 350 to 400. That means if you do encounter any particular challenges within your business that you need to track the root cause, you can configure logging for that particular area in order to aid the investigation. Now let's return to the presentation. Within your business, there will often be a need to schedule tasks out of hours on a daily basis or automate them to run at periodic intervals. These would typically be for housekeeping routines like balance functions, documentation to automatically print all dispatch notes or invoices at regular intervals and optionally distribute them using Automail, or daily tasks such as the MRP calculation and sales analysis update. Traditionally, automation in SYSPRO is run using task groups and window schedule tasks and set up using the following steps. You'd first set the form defaults under automation design, create a task group, create a batch file, and then create a window schedule task to run the batch file. While this works well in the main, when it fails, there can be multiple points of failure to investigate. SYSPRO have been looking at ways to allow balance functions to be run in a less intrusive way, and for this, in SYSPRO 8, they've introduced the Health Check Business Object, or COM-THC. We can use the SYSPRO-E.NET Diagnostics program to view the sample XML for the business object. Within a single program, SYSPRO allows you to specify the criteria per balance function, but is available as a front-end program. So if you wanted to run the accounts payable balance function, you would set your XML as follows. If you wanted to run a sales order balance, you can specify the criteria for the different processes that make up the balance function. So we can run the business object via e.NET, but how would we go about scheduling it to run overnight with Windows automation? Here we can leverage the functionality available within DataSwitch, which some of you may already be using for integrations within your business. We design a data flow, which starts with a data step to create all tasks, and this in turn creates individual data steps for each balance function. We then create a schedule using DataSwitch. A built-in schedule specify how regularly we want the task to run, and when we run, the details appear as individual items under the Processes tab. Now, if you run a balance function front-end, the results display in the preview screen and can be optionally printed or emailed. In the same way, you can view the results from the Processes pane, selecting Input to see the criteria specified, and Output to see the results. How does automation relate to logging, you're wondering? Well, historically, we've been reliant on the physical printed or email results of the balance function if we need to investigate any issues, for example, balance corrections. Well, the beauty of the Health Check business object means any changes made at data level are logged in individual fixed tables, and these can be interrogated at any point to aid investigations. Here's a list of all the tables available. You can query these in SQL to see the changes made per sales order and the before and after changes per customer. When you upgrade to SYSPRO 8, we enable server-side reporting while you are testing the upgrade. This is because there are a number of benefits from using server-side reporting. If you wish to print via Avanti or Espresso, server-side reporting needs to be enabled, and this will likely be the case for any future roadmap enhancements developed. There is reduced system admin overhead as the Crystal components only need to be installed on the server, and you no longer need components per client. In addition, the work to run the reports is done on the server, so the user does not have to wait for a report to render and can instead leave it processing in the background and pick it up from the queue at a later point. From a logging point of view, SYSPRO is then added 2 additional programs to view the resulting output. We have the report queue for any SRS reports that have been run. Subject to operator activity settings, you are able to view reports for either just yourself or the whole business for a specified time period. You can view any errors when running a report and optionally rerun the report directly from the queue. You can also click to view PDF for any report without having archive enabled, and the same options exist for exports. The document queue shows all SRS documents generated. Here you can use the custom filter to optionally view specific document types and click them to view the document itself. Let's take a look in SYSPRO. So if we have a look on our home ribbon bar, we will see the report queue. If we wanted to see the document queue, we would go down to the bottom of the screen, look at SRS documents, SRS document queue. But did you know that you could put both next to each other on the ribbon bar for easy access? You do this using the Customize Quick Access toolbar. So I right-click, select the option, and move it to the left. I want to make a copy of the report queue, which I then want to change to the document queue. So I first highlight Report Queue, holding my Control button, and left-click. You will see this gives you the plus button. I can then drag it to the left, and it will create a copy of the icon. I right-click on the icon and rename it to Document Queue. I then need to give it the program name for the document queue. Now, I may not know that offhand, but I can right-click on my program list, choose Field Chooser, and add the program onto my menu. I can then see that for SRS document queue, the program is SRS PB3. So I go back to my icon, right-click, and enter SRS PB3. The last thing I need to do is change the name of the tooltip. And in those easy steps, I've managed to surface the two options next to each other on the ribbon bar. I can use the same functionality for adding other programs to the ribbon bar for easy access. That completes our overview of the logging utilities in SYSPRO. Before we continue to the next section, we've got a quick poll for you to respond to.
Thanks, Claire. I'm just going to launch the poll now. You should see a set of questions coming up on your screen, or rather one question. How often do you update your system? With a few questions. So if you wouldn't mind starting to go ahead and answer the poll. I can see the votes coming in now. I'll give you another few seconds if you haven't already voted to get your voice heard. And I'll close the poll. Excellent. So it looks like there's about 57% that are already on 8 and only applying updates as needed, and some that are already on 8 and keeping up to date, and a few that are looking to upgrade soon. All right. And then, of course, there's an option. Someone's just midstream in updates and upgrade. So thanks for keeping us up to date. Right. Back to you, Claire. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Darshni. So that gives us an indication that most of you are looking to only apply the fixes as needed. So I wanted just to discuss how we would go about keeping up to date with SYSPRO 8. Prior to SYSPRO 8, you would update to a specific version of SYSPRO. For example, SYSPRO 6.1 or SYSPRO 7. Any patches would then be supplied as ports, which were generally provided monthly. These would include both program fixes and enhancements, all supplied in a single update. With this method, there was no easy rollback position, and so you might find that a particular fix you were waiting on was resolved, but in turn another fix has introduced an issue, and you would then need to wait for the next port for a solution. SYSPRO recognized the need to make the process more flexible, and so with SYSPRO 8, they've changed the way they deploy the software and any related fixes. For this, they introduced the SYSPRO installer accessible by your InfoZone credentials. This allows access to all SYSPRO 8 software components and updates, and also allows separate deployment groups for multiple sites, for example, for live, test, and sandbox. A new release of SYSPRO 8 is then made available annually, and this includes all hot fixes from the previous releases, as well as documented enhancements and new features. Within any particular release, changes to programs are released as individual hotfixes and are applied in the same way as Microsoft patches. This allows the flexibility to apply only the one fix you require or apply all fixes on a periodic basis. However, if you do encounter any issues with a particular program, you can uninstall the hotfix in question without impacting the other programs. You are limited to 127 hotfixes in any release, so to cater for this, every 100 hotfixes, SYSPRO provide a consolidated hotfix containing all the program fixes for the release to date. Now, SYSPRO differentiate between the different types of hotfixes per the table displayed. Mandatory hotfixes are released to address any serious or architectural issues. You'll receive notification to the InfoZone accounts that have accessed the installer, and the fix cannot be uninstalled. Thankfully, this is a rare occurrence. Customer-specific hotfixes are for when you log an issue with us that we in turn report to SYSPRO for correction. When a fix is made available, you'll receive notification to the InfoZone accounts that have accessed the installer. In addition, we also test the fix internally to ensure it does fix the issue reported. Any other fixes that are reported for other customers are visible via the installer, but you do not receive notifications for these. Now, I'm regularly asked how often you should be applying hotfixes, and this really differs depending on the business. The technology allows the flexibility to only install the specific fixes required, but over the life cycle of a release, hotfixes are being released daily, and this can mean after some months there could be a large number of fixes waiting to apply. My recommendation would be that where possible, you plan to apply the fixes periodically, either weekly or monthly. For businesses where you are subject to strict change controls or where you want to minimize any disruption, then we would consider implementing sandboxes, which allow you to deploy fixes and test any of them before implementing in live. So let's take a look in SYSPRO. You can see which release you are currently running at the bottom of your screen. So currently I'm on SYSPRO 8, 2024. If I then choose Shift F7 and view installed updates, I will be able to see all hotfixes that I currently have installed. So I can see that I'm currently installed up to hotfix 416, and if I want to see the details of any specific hotfix, I can click on the hotfix and it will show the programs included. Now on your Home button, you'll notice there's a hotfix button. This will only show if a hotfix is available if there is a customer-specific hotfix available for your instance. Often customers tell me they don't think there are any hotfixes available because this button is grayed out. But it only means there are no customer-specific hotfixes available. Outstanding hotfixes can be viewed within the installer itself. So if I go into my installer, I can see for my live deployment, I can click on the hotfix button. This shows me any fix I need to install, but if I click Show All Hotfixes, then I will see all hotfixes available for install. I can then choose just a specific fix or select all and then follow the prompts to install. We do recommend that you have all users logged out when installing hotfixes, as some of them will require a restart to services. Similarly, if you need to uninstall a hotfix, you would click on Show Installed Hotfixes, and you can choose a specific hotfix and follow the prompts to uninstall. So that covers how you go about identifying and applying any outstanding hotfixes within a release. But how do you go about updating your release within SYSPRO 8? You can view the SYSPRO product lifecycle from within the SYSPRO 8 help pages. SYSPRO provide full support for the current release and the release immediately previous. So currently our mainstream releases are SYSPRO 8 2024 and 2023. From the NexSys support desk, we provide advice and guidance for all SYSPRO releases, but as your release ages, it is not possible to receive program fixes. The table shows the current status of every release in SYSPRO. And here you can view what product support is available depending on the status of the release. So again, the question I'm asked is how regularly you should be updating releases. We would recommend to ensure that you are always on a mainstream release. And as such, this would mean to plan to apply a release once annually. For most businesses, our typical recommendation would be that unless you're waiting on a specific enhancement in the new release, that you look to upgrade the previous release just as the new release is made available. This ensures the release is mature, but also that you're still running a mainstream release. Again, you can consider implementing sandboxes to allow user testing to assist with this rollout. And releases can be installed internally or arranged via your account manager. When a new release is made available, we send the details through to your system administrator contacts, advising the details, and at the same time, we upgrade our SYSPRO 8 landing page. So let's take a look at that. On our SYSPRO 8 landing page, we show all of the new features that are available. We also show any considerations that you need to take, both pre-install and post-install, to minimize disruption to your business. We ask that irrespective of whether you're installing the release yourself or not, to advise us of your intentions by completing the form, as this will allow us to advise you on the downtime required and any other considerations for your specific install. We also add the dates to our internal Go Live calendar so the team are aware and can rally assistance as required. Now, before we proceed to the next section, we have another quick poll for you.
Thanks, Claire. We're curious, how do you currently log your support tickets? By email, help desk, or phone if it's urgent? Choose all that apply, please. Starting to see the votes fly in. Thanks very much. Almost there. I'll leave it open for another 15 seconds. Brilliant. I'll close the poll now. So it looks like 74% send in tickets by email, 52% via the help desk portal, and 33% by phone. Back to you, Claire. Thanks.
Thanks, Dashni. That's interesting results, particular in that many of you use email to log your calls. And that is why, in particular, today I wanted to show you some of the features that are available in our help desk portal. So if we log on to the if we have a look at the help desk portal URL, if you have ever logged a ticket with us via email, then you are already registered for the portal with your email address. If you don't know your password, you can then click here and we'll send you a password reset. When I log into the portal, you'll notice that we use our post-it notes to make you aware of any upcoming events or releases, like this webinar today. In addition, we provide links to useful information, including our product and support brochure, our YouTube page for previous webinars, SYSPRO Info Zone, help pages, and the SYSPRO 8 landing page that I just showed you. In addition to being able to log new tickets and view previous tickets logged for solutions, over the last year, we've worked hard to make our knowledge base content accessible via the portal, allowing you to access any information directly. We're adding to this content on a daily basis as we become aware of any useful solutions. So let's take a look at how that works. I click on Knowledge Base. You can search for information via any of the 3 tabs. Under the List tab, you can filter on any of the columns. So for example, earlier, I showed you how to surface the document queue next to the report queue. You can see an article on how to use the queues, and you can also see an article on how to do just what I showed you. You can view the article in line, and you can also click on the Documents tab and click on the link which has the KB number, and that will automatically download a PDF copy for easy access. If I want to return back to the main screen, I click on the light blue bar. Now, you may have specific articles that you need to access on a regular basis, and for this you can create your own filters for easy access. To do this, I click on Advanced. I'm going to add a filter to title, and I'm going to look for any articles which contain the word System Admin. I can search to see the results, and then see that actually what I'm looking for is SYSPRO 8 System Admin articles. I search, and if I'm happy with the results returned, I click on Save Filter. I give it a name and click Save. You will then see you have a filter on the top right, and going forward you can always get a list of System Admin articles. This is a dynamic list, so any new articles we add with the same title will automatically appear in this list. Now, in addition to filtering from the list, you can use the Search tab to search for specific information. For example, if I'm looking for any articles related to Purge, this will search within the titles, but also within the details of the content. And again, I can go down the list, view the article that I want, and click on it to view the details. Lastly, you can also use the tree view. Now, in the tree view, it allows you to drill down for a particular product. So if I wanted to see articles related to Orchard, I can expand that and then view the list using the scroll bar on the right. Or within SYSPRO, I can drill down to a specific area within SYSPRO. For example, if I wanted to see articles related to server-side reporting, I'd go Reporting, SRS, SYSPRO 8, and slightly further, server-side reporting. And then I can see all the articles and choose the specific one that I'm looking for. Now, most of the content that I've showed today in this presentation is available as a knowledge base article, which you can then search directly in the same way. For example, we looked at how to automate tasks. Here I'm only getting the system admin results from my filter earlier, but if I have a look at all, I can look at how to automate tasks, but I can also see how to automate them using data switch. We also looked at electronic signature logging. If I filter by signature, then I can see the article to do with detail logging. Please do let us know if you come across any content you'd like to see going forward. We would welcome any feedback. So that concludes the topics I was covering today. Where do you go to learn more? Well, I would really recommend, if you don't already make use of the Help Desk portal, that you reset your password using the Forgot Password and log on, as all the other links highlighted here will then be accessible to you directly from the homepage, including our previous webinars, the SYSPRO 8 help pages, the SYSPRO 8 product lifecycle, and the SYSPRO 8 landing page, not forgetting that you then have direct access to the knowledge base content at the same time. Thank you all for your time today. We'll now field any questions you have, which I believe you can enter on the chat function in the GoToWebinar.
Thanks very much for that, Claire. That's fantastic. For all of you that have joined in the chat, you'll also see links to the URLs that Claire has mentioned in the webinar. I do see a question that's already available from the first half of the webinar, Claire. Hi, Claire. Do the electronic signatures work only with the UI, or do they also work with business objects? Thanks.
There are electronic signatures at the end of them. Some of them say e.net at the end, and that means that they relate to the business object functionality. So often you'll see one that says after sales order added, and then you'll see one that says after sales order added e.net. So the e.net one is the one that you need for the business object.
Fantastic. Thanks, Claire. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see if there's any more that we have available coming in. There's no further questions coming in, but you are more than welcome to go ahead and log a ticket on the help desk if you need any more help, or drop an email to Kelly and we'll make sure we follow up with details if you need any more. Thanks very much for joining us, and thanks again, Claire, for presenting today. Take care, everyone.